VIP of Bizarre Interest Productions, and yeah, sorry this video took so long to come out. This research was a lot longer than it took me to formalize, and yes, I mean more articles, but that was just making sure I could find the right sources. The actual problem was just organizing the script. This is a video I've been having up for a couple months now, so let's get to the thesis. Yes, the adult film industry hates Asian men and Asian women. The problem is twofold. They barely cast Asian men who clearly want to work, and when there's an opportunity for them to use Asian men, they barely use them because of society's weird notion that Asian men aren't attractive. For some reason, we'll get to that in another video. Or in one egregious example, they decide to take a role made specifically for Asian characters and whitewash them by using racial depictions of Yellowface instead of just casting an Asian person. Meanwhile, with Asian women, it's the opposite problem. They get roles but are treated like absolute garbage when it happens. And I know what some of you might be thinking. Who cares? They're just people who get naked and have intercourse for cash. Which is true. But behind the videos and performance, these are just normal people trying to make a living on a medium that explores most non-asexual desires and fantasies. And I would like my fellow man, woman, or anyone in the middle to be able to do that in safe, healthy, and working conditions and environments. There are people with careers in football, medicine, construction, and film production who can get seriously hurt on the job. And even though those aren't my ideal careers either, I'd hope they're decent people in healthy environments and get the support that they need. Besides, the only difference between adult film stars and you is that they get paid to be naked and you don't. Unless you do. In that case, good for you. Hope your family doesn't judge you or jerks and that you're safe. Take care of yourself. Both your physical and mental health is important. Besides, almost all of y'all take showers naked, so if I can respect you despite having your clothes off for a certain amount of time in a day, you can respect some of the people I will be talking about. And if you don't take showers, try to take at least 5 to 10 showers in a week, but time yourself so you're only spending 5 minutes inside. I want you all to be happy and healthy. Anyway, where were we? Also, yes, this video was supposed to come out during Asian American Pacific Islander month, but it's also Pride month, and this also affects Asian creators of those identities, so it's still the perfect time, only for me to realize that this is now coming out in July. Anyway, type stop Asian hate in the comments. We're going to start with the women first before getting to the men. So, way back in 2019, Jade Cush shot a scene where she was on an elliptical machine in gym leotards and leg warmers before her and her scene partner went at it. Normal so far, right? Well, Cush found out that they titled the video Come Dim Sum, which she was pissed off at because the script only said it was a workout fantasy scene. The title didn't have that in the first place. The director actually apologized for the title and confirmed the decision was made by the distribution company, and she confirmed there was nothing she could do about it except not promote it, trying not to promote it herself, but the video and damage was done. Jade also had to tell her agency and her directors about not doing things they wanted to do, such as her rejecting them trying to have her wear a silk dress with chopsticks in her hair, telling her to speak broken English for a massage therapist role. Another director asked her to speak in her native tongue. She naturally responded, "I grew up in Chicago." Cush also confirmed in an interview with Women's Health magazine that she's been asked to wear clothes that doesn't match her Chinese heritage or make people think that all Asians look alike because she's been asked to speak both Japanese and Chinese, even though she's Chinese American. This was also around the time anti-Asian hate crimes became more prevalent in talking spaces, and especially when offensive tropes about Asian women started to realize that they were being played to into anti-Asian discrimination. Trans star Venus Lux talked about how Asian American and transgender women like herself in the industry makes it harder for people to take their concerns and improvements seriously, since Asian American performers were often paid less than their white peers. Also, after she left the industry, another actress, Saya Song, was tired of said types of roles and told an interviewer, "If you want to get your name out there, you have to be okay with people fetishizing you. If you do speak up about it, you'll end up like me, you just don't shoot." Even Asa Akira admitted she's embracing it, but she didn't like the monotony of the massage therapist role either. Heck, another camp performer, Joey Kim, admitted she's lucky she's able to decline offers from her fans who want her to make content where she's submissive while they're in control because, well, she's a camp performer. And this got worse after the Atlanta spa shootings from 2021, where 6 of the 8 people killed were women of Asian descent. The Inked Angels company made a list of 10 stars you should follow with the Stop Asian Hate hashtag, but Song called them out for using the hashtag for promoting and being insensitive with the Land of the Rising Sun comment, and the website tweeted back like, "You try to support and you're the one met with negativity and hate," before they deleted their entire accounts. Worse, around the start of COVID, we had people in power and regular citizens putting the blame for a global virus on Asian people, which makes no sense when you think about it for 2 seconds. Plus, Kush did a video for a collection titled Asian Massage Invasion, which they promoted around the time to boost the video's engagement. Like, why would you try to promote that mentality at a time where people are getting attacked for the basis of their race, using a tragedy for promotion? Ironically, thanks to COVID, the balance of power shifted to allow more people to make livings on OnlyFans, where Jade Kush ended up switching before going to LoyalFans. She even said, if I don't want to do another scene where I have to be dressed up or humiliated, I don't have to do it. Now, I make custom videos, and it's a lot easier for me to tell fans I'm not comfortable doing that than it is for me to tell a company that. Heck, Jade also started working as an intimacy coordinator, that person in any television or film production that makes sure any scenes that go below the belt had the coordinator there to make sure the actors are consenting and that nothing goes too far, and that everyone is okay with each other emotionally and physically. And it's definitely a good fit for her. And this part wasn't originally in the script, but if you think everything I said so far was bad, 30-year-old woman named Saki Kozai told the global news agency AFP that she was tricked into signing an ambiguous contract and manipulated into thinking the shoot would make her a movie star, only to succumb to the pressure of the people surrounding her with threats of smut harm from other victims if they refused their contractual obligations. And yes, recruiters forced them into contracts with threats of fines and blacklisted in film, vague contracts, and scouts targeting people's homes, with the Japanese non-governmental organization called Lighthouse, with over 60 actors attempting to escape the pornography business in Japan. So yeah, women have it rough in this industry, so let's talk about Asian men now, especially because Men's Mental Health Month just passed. So, Taiwanese-American star Yellowface talked about a lot of what I've been saying, especially since he brings up the point that Black men are emasculated mentally because they're only seen as mindless sexual beasts, but East Asian men are emasculated in the sense that they're less seen as less manly and sexual because there's a lack of sexualization and Asian representation, since previous big stars like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and Bruce Lee were either seen as desexualized or deromanticized. He brought up Romeo Must Die, where Aaliyah and Jet Li's characters kissing wasn't received because it was an Asian man kissing a black woman. I need to double check my research on that last part because the circumstances behind that have multiple reasons, but it does add to the point Asian male representation is lacking, not just in the adult film industry, but in other industries too. There are studies that show that Asian men get shafted thanks to these cultural nonsensities in dating, the influence of the industry, and more Asian guys experience negative ratings by women on dating sites. Then you have Asian men being romantically and sexually shafted because of this weird belief Asian men possess smaller than average dodongalongs. Jeremy Long and Kenny Styles have talked and been brought up as unicorns and lone big names for Asian men in the film industry, but they don't really have the attention and acclaim as most white and black male stars do. Heck, some stars back in 2015 admitted some companies frowned and found it detrimental for white actresses to do interracial scenes, screwing over more Asian men in general. Yellowface talked about this leads to some Asian men feeling side character syndrome because these factors lead to some of them feeling society undervalues them. Rather than falling into that hatred and toxicity, Leo brings up that there should be positive masculinity to combat the sea of toxicity out there. And how, yeah, representation matters, and representation matters because even when there's Asian roles, yellowface and whitewashing in the industry cause one of the craziest backlashes ever. Now for the topic I've been hyping up for 4 months now, the Walking Dead adult film parody whitewashed Glenn. And no, I'm not joking about this. So, Burning Angel is an adult film company that used to make parodies of other titles, and the Walking Dead parody was no exception. From what I know, they changed around a few elements, but for the most part, they either aged up some of the younger cast to be adults, but casted everyone that was adult the same way they usually were portrayed in the show. Michonne was played by a black woman, and for Glenn, they casted an Asian person, right? Right? Yeah, no, they casted Danny Wilde in Yellowface. Yeah, there were no Asian Americans in decision-making roles in that production. They went with Yellowface, continued to defend it, and Danny Wilde wrote in his apology that the role of Glenn was the last to be cast. Not being familiar with the show, he wasn't aware he'd be playing an Asian American, asked if it was racist, and he got laughter as a response. And hey, it's an adaptation, changes were going to happen, but another site brought up the argument Like, Zombie Sophia isn't a preteen age girl like she was in the show. So, of course, everyone's got to be over the age of 18, so they altered that age. So why didn't they just make another character instead of Glenn if they wanted to use the actor? Or say Glenn had been attacked or been in surgery that damaged his face and now he looks different. Or just make them related to Glenn without making the actor look Asian, and I actually kind of agree with that. This had led to Jezebel making an article that is still hard to find, but Burning Angel's founder went like this. Alright, I know some of you lame ASSs were offended by me turning someone non-Asian into someone Asian, but Danny is an important member of the Burning Angel family, and I really wanted him in this movie, and he actually had a lot of similar features as Glenn and made the most sense to play him. Around election time, I aged Danny about 60 years and turned him into Joe Biden. I was not doing this to make fun of anyone of any race, I did this because it was a parody. So all you oversensitive PC people, calm down. Because to change the makers of a porn parody with racism for casting a white dude as an Asian dude has got to be the most absurd things we've ever seen any media outlet do in a good while. Especially when the main objects of this finger wagging is BA owner and the project's direct writer Joanna Angel, a very overtly Jewish gal, plenty conscious of ethnic bigotry. Yeah, Culture Wars said it for me, but creating a parody doesn't give you a free pass. And I did eventually find the article where someone was actually able to note arguments for both sides of this conversation. They noted that Jezebel drew attention to the Yellowface, though there was some pushback on suggesting Kenny Styles be cast as Glenn, because Burning Angel did point out that Kenny is Thai, so anyone coming after them for trying to suggest what all Asians look alike, you could argue is fair. At the same time, we've also had several actors of Asian descent play roles from different Asian ethnic groups in all types of films, TV shows, movies, cartoons, and even anime. Depending on the type of movie, it would actually help to get someone more authentic, but in the case of an industry where there's clearly Asian people seeking work, I'd argue rejecting them in favor of someone whose skin you colored yellow and taping his eyes is much worse. But yeah, this project was meant to be all in good fun, and Joanna and Tommy would never consider giving a performer blackface, but at the same time, they didn't consider that Yellowface was racist or wrong either. One of the arguments they made is that there are other adult films in the past that were involved in bigotry, but because they didn't do it, they shouldn't be criticized? Because, yeah, if I can find it, I'll post it on the screen, but some of those titles, yeah, those are rough to look at, not gonna lie one bit there. Again, Burning Angel and AVN clearly didn't intend it, but it's kind of pathetic they didn't even think about it. Though ironically, it's the actor himself, Danny Wilde, who said on his personal blog he actually considered the implications. I'll put it on screen, but yeah, after a post representing his uncertainty, he does apologize, calling it his less than an apology because people are paying attention and taking a respectable amount of humility. And that's kind of the point. Like, if they had just casted an Asian man to play Glenn, none of that would have even happened in the first place. And that was years ago. There are a few more Asian men in the industry: Kenny Styles, Jeremy Long, Kenny Kong, Leo Weiss. Apparently David Lee's pretty used to it a lot now. But this just adds to my point. Society doesn't see Asian men, so they write them as either docile or make them side characters or ignore them in casting. So people don't take them seriously when casting or treating them as awesome and normal people who are capable of love. And the same goes with Asian women. They aren't dolls you can just dress up. They're also people who deserve to be respected like any other human does without having to be fetishized. After all, part of the way to stop Asian hate is to just include more Asian people. Also, stop saying Asian men aren't attractive. I'm going to talk about this in the next video or the video after it. But y'all can't think of one attractive Asian man? I'm not going to beat the bisexual allegations in that one, but we'll save that for next time. Maybe. We'll see. To conclude, companies should be more mindful of how to portray people in their content, and it ultimately goes back to the whole issue of consent in the community. Between wearing an outfit you feel uncomfortable with or taking something up you don't want to should feel okay. Like, you should be able to say, I'm not comfortable doing this, and then try to work around alternatives. Lux even argues that it shouldn't be the job of performers, but the people in power to actually do better taking care of the people they're employing, and I agree wholeheartedly. Plus, in kid shows like Japan, like Kira Major, they have actresses in adult videos that get to be main antagonists, and they get treated with respect in the show and by the writers, with even the lead actor helping design their villain costume, and the character becoming so popular that her actress got 3 spin-offs to be the lead. And that's really all they need, to be treated with respect and human beings by the people behind the cameras. And I only hope that this improves, not just for Asian stars, but for everyone who does adult work. As long as everyone's healthy and respectable for one another, maybe things will get better. That's all I can say on this. So let me know about all your thoughts on the subject below. And BIP Bizarre Interest Productions, signing off.